Yes, sirree, and a very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world on this Thursday morning. What can I say? Another gorgeous morning here in the Spice Isle. Ooh, new winner this morning, John Franco. Good morning to you, Mr. Franco, and congratulations. Peter Bishop is sneaking in there for his second place finish this morning. And Anthea has the... Anthea, you haven't given up, have you? Anthea is settling for third place this morning. So yes, as I was saying, it's a really, really nice morning here. And I'll tell you, boy, I don't know. The people who are involved in the tourism industry here, in particular, the taxi drivers and the vendors and the tour operators and what have you, they got to be really happy. 3 big cruise ships in town this morning. One down at Burns Point, and 2 over at the Melville Street Terminal. Pilgrims, let's take a look at what we're going to get into this morning. We're going to begin with some food for thought. Yaman. Looks like Dr. Terence Marishow is not a very happy camper. And you're going to find out why. This piece is captioned, Food for Thought, No Radioactive Fallout. Find out about that in just a minute because he explains everything. Then we're going to take a look at this week's edition of the NDC's Heartbeat, which is captioned, The Fallacy of Prosperity. Then you notice that before the national report, I have here, Allan rides again. What is he talking about? Well, he's talking about the fact that Mr. B is going to be so kind. I mean, this guy, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Because we still haven't got all our technical issues resolved, he's coming to sit in here this morning with me. And hey, I love having the company, so good to see Allan. Now, he's going to be in here early, and by that I mean 9:15, maybe 9:20, you know, whatever. Anyhow, Allan's coming. Now, according to Dr. Terence Marishow, this is a piece that he published on Facebook yesterday. I'm just going to read it verbatim because it's self-explanatory. I quote, "A statement put out by the Office of the Commissioner of Police on Monday, January 20th, entitled, Update the Fire at Grenville Street. The fire which took place on the morning of the 9th of January, during which a substantial part of my medical clinic was destroyed, and the majority of the contents therein was disappointing, presumptuous, and inflammatory." So says Dr. Marishow. The statement had nothing to say about the actual cause of the fire, which, I gather, is still under investigation. However, because the clinic housed X-ray equipment, an alarm was sounded about the possibility of a health hazard and the negative impact on the environment and persons exposed. It is ironic that these are considerations being made after the fact, when that should have been one of the main concerns when the firemen were on the site trying to extinguish the fire. There was a big signboard advertising the services offered by the clinic, among which were X-rays, and greater effort should have been made to either save the building or evacuate the equipment before it was engulfed in flames. Knowing that my building was the last to go down, and no effort was made by the authorities to contact me in a timely manner to find out what health hazard was posed by the equipment in the building, further adds insult to injury. I was not even contacted by the authorities. The first indication I got that my building was threatened by fire came from one of my employees who lives in Crowshoe, St. Andrew. Imagine that. That call came at 4:58 a.m., 2 minutes to 5. And by the way, the fire, I understand, started at 3 a.m. A few days after the fire, I was contacted by an official of the Ministry of Health who apparently went with an official of the Bureau of Standards with a Geiger counter, an instrument used to detect levels of radiation in the surroundings to determine levels of radiation in the building. He said he was surprised that they had found no radiation, and he wondered why, since he knew that I had X-ray equipment in the building. I told him that his findings were consistent with the facts, because my X-ray room was spared and the equipment was intact. Furthermore, the new X-ray machine stored on the ground floor waiting to be installed also posed no threat, because the head of the unit which produces radiation was stored in the X-ray room and was not destroyed by the fire. He said he was pleased and relieved to know that, and that he could now close the case. The police statement said that no significant levels of radiation were found, instead of saying none. That is downright misleading and wrong. This is why I say the statement was inflammatory, because it can easily have caused some level of panic and unease for those who might have been close to the building on the morning of the fire and now think that they were exposed to radiation. Additionally, it can create fear among the general population and future patients who would think that the building is toxic and they should avoid going there, thus adversely affecting my practice. The fact that no radiation was detected and no danger was posed to the population should not have warranted any statement at all. In fact, it should have been kept behind closed doors and not brought to the public domain while they discussed the protocols. The statement also presumes that proper protocols were not put in place to mitigate a disaster of this kind, if it were to happen. Let me state categorically that the proper regulatory protocols as it relates to the setting up of an X-ray room have been followed. The walls of the room are lined with lead, which is protective, as well as lead aprons, which are used by patients and the operator of the X-ray at all times. So, in the case of this fire, the question of radiation is and was a moot and irrelevant one. There was no necessity to put out such a statement, which could only cause damage to the clinic and my reputation, and unnecessary hysteria for the public. To my mind, that should have been the focus. And what should be the focus going forward? Are the constant regulatory violations that take place as it relates to the derelict, abandoned buildings in the town, which are fire and health hazards in the town and need to either be demolished or And that's because they have become havens for drug addicts, vagrants, and homeless people, as well as hiding places for items stolen during house break-ins. I have lost property and equipment to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, which could have been avoided if the abandoned, dilapidated wooden structure next to my clinic had been removed or made to be removed by the owner, because this is not the first time an incident had taken place there. There was a similar fire about 3 years ago, which could have had the same effect, but it did not. Proper protocols need to be put in place to coordinate better and more concerted action between Grenelick and the fire department, because many eyewitnesses have publicly said that the delay by Grenelick in turning off the electricity would have hampered the work of the firefighters. When one would have thought that protocols were in place for dealing with such a catastrophe, knowing full well that the town of St. George is vulnerable to such disasters, the reality is that there were none. And if they were, then they failed dismally. This is not the first time and will not be the last fire to take place in the town. We've had experiences of bigger ones in the past, and the possibility of another is right around the corner. Therefore, there should be no further delay in adopting these protocols and implementing them immediately. There should be constant drills and simulations and upgrades of equipment and firefighting materials, all geared towards bolstering the firefighting capacity and capabilities of our fire department's staff and volunteers. I think it is extremely unfortunate, the statement put out by the police about the threat of radiation from the fire. But they would be better served to concentrate on protocols which are more important in mitigating fire, in evacuation, and preventing significant loss of property, goods, and equipment. Just food for thought. That is the text of a post which was published by Dr. Terry Marichaux yesterday on Facebook. He had to get that off his chest. Now, let's turn let's turn now to this week's edition of the NDC Heartbeat, which also came in pretty late last night. Yes, sirree. Yes, sirree. It's captioned, "The Fallacy of Prosperity." On Monday, January 20th, we watched as Guyana made history when it exported its first ever shipment of oil. ExxonMobil exported 1 million barrels of light crude oil to the United States. Guyana's economy will grow by 87% in 2020 as a result of returns just from oil companies bidding for blocks. That does not include revenues from the actual sale of oil. Here at home, our government remains mute on the state of our oil and gas resources. There has been deafening silence since the dramatic announcement on the eve of the 2018 election that we have found oil, and that means plenty of money for us. Our government has given no accounting to the people on the state of this aspect of our patrimony, which we, the people, entrusted to them. There was no mention of oil and gas in the 2019 nor 2020 budget statements, even though the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance promised us a lot of money from that sector in early 2018. Keith Mitchell has presided over the collapse of the agricultural, light manufacturing, and offshore financial services sectors. He now presides over a tainted and secretive citizenship by investment program, selling our citizenship, our birthright, to unknown individuals who sometimes turn out to be crooks. Added to that, he has, for the most part, invited fraudsters and conmen to our country, posing as legitimate investors. His failure to realize the promised windfall from the oil and gas sector, our last frontier, continues to have a debilitating effect on our economy. The figures show that our stagnated economy can do well with a boost in exports at this time. According to the figures in the 2020 budget statement, we only received $47.4 million in revenue from exports in 2019, while we spent $634.1 million on imports. Our trade deficit is therefore over $500 million. These figures do not mesh with a booming economy. Instead of revenues from oil and gas and other productive sectors, we rely almost entirely on revenues from taxation. There is a constant increase in taxation and more aggression towards taxpayers from the Collections Division of the Inland Revenue Department. The truth is, tax collection is now government's only source of revenue. Despite these facts, Mitchell continues to insist that we have a booming economy. But the indicators of same simply do not exist. Our individual and collective spending power continues to decline, with poverty rates worsening. People are not thriving, but barely surviving. Our crumbling infrastructure is another clear indicator of our economy, that it is struggling, not booming. Everywhere around the country are large potholes, broken roadways, bridges, and retaining walls that remain unattended to, even though they are obvious safety hazards. In the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, Public Utilities, Transport and Implementation, formerly known as the Ministry of Works, established positions remain vacant with no explanation. These include Project Officer, Chief Technical Officer, 2 engineers, 2 maintenance engineers, Quantity Surveyor, Engineering Assistant, and Surveyor. No wonder the implementation rate for capital projects is at the failing grade of 50%. Of the $196.4 million allocated to capital projects in 2019, by June, only $23.7 million was spent, and there is no disclosure of spending after June 2019. If the economy is booming and there's so much infrastructure work to be done, why then are these positions not filled? Is it because there are no available party loyalists to fill them? In a booming economy, how does the government justify cutting spending for youth ventures like the Empower and the Manny programs by 38% and 20%, respectively? How does the government, in a booming economy, justify cutting spending for the needy assistance, SEED, university tuition assistance, and the burial assistance programs? Our sad reality is that while our people are in dire need of real economic boost, our Prime Minister and his ministers have grossly mismanaged our resources and yet continue to peddle the fallacy of a booming economy. They are doing so to divert our focus from the fact that they have treacherously and unapologetically divested our country of the one last chance that we had for real growth. That is, our oil and gas sector. So, while our Guyanese government, while our Guyanese friends are poised to become the world's fastest growing and most prosperous nation, and while our Surinamese neighbors just signed a lucrative production sharing agreement for the exploration and development of their oil and gas resources, Grenadians remain entirely in the dark about what has become of ours, our patrimony. Indeed, the NDC wonders whether anyone except Keith Mitchell and Gregory Bowen knows the current state of affairs with our oil and gas. If that is the case, we urge the others to press these two men for answers. Remember, as Cabinet, you are collectively responsible, and in the end, you too will all be held accountable. That, pilgrims, is the text of this week's edition of the NDC Heartbeat. Okay. Let's. Mr. B is here, by the way, guys. Mr. B, I wish you'd get a little closer to me. I don't have the coronavirus, so it's quite okay to sit a little bit closer.
You shouldn't have to worry about that, because I believe that's
I'm not too sure that they heard you, but I'm going to have you repeat that in just a wee bit. Yes. So let's see quickly who's there. John Franco, Anthiorello, Margaret, Lydia James, Kipling, Arthur Langine, Chester Simon, Fitzroy Adams says he's enjoying the warm weather in Carriacou. Good for you. Jean Pascal, Celia Maria Flanders is saying hi from London, England. And Anthony de Rigg says, so happy the people who were on that JetBlue plane that had to turn back and landed are safe. Could have been worse. Okay. I'm just going to take a quick little break here, saddle up Mr. B with his microphone and what have you, and we'll be right back.
Inspection and licensing have begun, and at Hubbard's, we want you to be ready. From January to February 15th, we're offering vehicle owners with single registration letters 1 to 2,500 and plural registration letters 1 to 250, 10% off our new torque tires and Power Max batteries. Don't get caught unprepared. Visit us today at our motor department in Mungay or our tire bay in Grandance, located near Hubbard's Building Supplies.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Coop Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank. And there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy.
We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us
as we energize our Spice Island.
Renlec, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
All right, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brzezinski. Sharon Roberts listening there a little while ago. She says, we did not hear Mr. B. I know you didn't hear Mr. B. That's why I wanted to repeat what he was saying just a bit ago. Good morning, sir. How are you? What did I say? Well,
Sir, because you are not afflicted by the coronavirus, is it?
Yeah, that's the
in China, in the city of Wuhan.
Yeah, I asked him to come closer, and he couldn't wait to get his big mouth.
So my response was that I am not at all concerned, because we've been informed by Senator Cox that the Minister of Health is on top of the situation.
Sitting on top of the virus.
In Wuhan, apparently. I don't understand. No, so you don't need to worry about coronavirus. With regard to the, yes?
Well, maybe that's why I haven't, other than the fact that they sent the Grenadian students in China, okay, I haven't heard anything else from the government about the virus. I hear that Trinidad's taking steps and other countries.
Yes, well, but Senator Cox has had to take himself away from designing national wear for males and females. But I am assured by him that the Minister of Health is on top of the situation. So you don't need to worry. As to whether or not the Minister of Health is at the ministry, on the beach, or in Wuhan, I can't tell you.
All right. I will leave it at that. I'm not going to pursue this one. Go ahead, sir. You were about to say something else?
Yes, with regard to Anthony DeRiggs' observation regarding the luck that we have experienced in that JetBlue was able to land safely. I understand that a replacement plane was sent and that the passengers departed early this morning. So they are out of here.
They're out of here.
Yeah.
I last night, I think it was after midnight, I have a little app on my phone here which shows me all the air traffic around here, and I saw that JetBlue flight. I think it was just after midnight.
Coming in?
Leaving.
Leaving New York?
No, leaving here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, they got it. Boy, that's kind of scary. Losing engine.
So it's going to be interesting. But then again, it shows that air travel, relatively speaking, is very safe. If you were in a minibus in Grenada on our roads, I mean, we last saw that one fellow claims that his brakes fell off on Young Street, ended up in the carnage, and regrettably one passenger expired as a result of that experience. We haven't heard much about the forensic examination as to whether or not the brakes that fell off were ever found.
Because of an investigation. Do you, come on, Allan.
Is there any investigation that we have heard the results coming forward?
That's the point I'm trying to make, Allan.
Yes, so in other words, let me say to you that this is indicative of the title of a book by a Nigerian author, Things Fall Apart, Chinua Achebe, if that is how his name is pronounced. And as we look around, you have to get the impression that indeed things fall apart. But ask yourself the question, why do things fall apart? According to the basic premise of the book, there was a man who was ambitious, he worked hard, he chose not to repeat the failings in his view of his father with regard to laziness and dissolution, and he was rewarded in his early years by the acquisition of wealth and assets. He had 3 wives, because in that culture, wealth attracts wives. And cattle, apparently. But the premise of it all is that as fame and fortune accumulates, that things fall apart, that individuals get compromised. The adoration of the crowd gets them seeking more and more. They make poor decisions. They fail to manage the affairs of their families, of their communities, and of their village. And so things fall apart. Now, we heard earlier in a report about the fact that we may have missed an opportunity in comparison with Guyana. I don't need to go down that road because I don't know that the opportunity ever genuinely existed. What I do know is that things are falling apart. Now, I say this because I have been looking with interest at the pronouncements made recently by the Minister of Education, and also I believe she is responsible for religious affairs. It has to do with apparently reports that she has recently received that teachers may be engaged in private business with negative effects on the discharge of their duties during the working day. I find it exceedingly strange that this minister has only just received these reports. She in particular has been a member of cabinet since 2013, continuously. So I don't know where is this sudden revelation that has come to her. Has she been traveling on the road to Damascus? She has suddenly become aware. Now this follows her earlier pronouncements regarding the need to address the discipline in secondary schools, and has likewise, I believe she must have had this epiphany, because she has determined that the school term should start with prayer. I went to GBSS. I have a distinct recollection of both beginning and end of term assembly. In those days we had to put on our blazer. That is when we dressed up to go to school at the beginning and close the term. And there was prayer. So I fail to understand how it is that it has become necessary to employ the services of religious ministers, and I suspect how many we will require ministers for 19 secondary schools and 58 primary schools or something like that. Again, this appears to me to be just another make-work program. It is, in my view, akin to the make-work program which masquerades under the term environmental wardens, previously known as debushers. Instead of debushing, we ought to be maintaining the drainage systems along the sides of our roads and byways so that they stop falling apart. This morning, I had to do a quick hop, skip, and jump to avoid a collapsing piece of roadway in the community in which I reside and have resided for the last 37 years. It bothers me that on a roadway where public transport is proceeding at a fair rate of speed, up and down, at rush hour, that in some areas the road narrows to an extent where it will cause an accident. Things fall apart. And why is this? A lack of awareness of those in charge? A lack of interest of those in charge? Is it that they don't care? or they only are roused from their stupor when citizens, such as teachers, choose to stand up for their rights and work to rule. Now, you know this work to rule has been going on for more than a year. It apparently has not yet been settled as to whether or not the correct procedure was followed when the pay of certain teachers was docked. If the correct procedures were not followed, it means that once again we have an instance where orders are passed, they are not questioned, they are carried out by public servants who have rules and regulations to guide them, but are so afraid that they will not stand up for what is right. And this is why things fall apart. I'm done.
You're done for the time being. Things fall apart. I think perhaps the most prominent situation right now is up at Molinare. But as you know, there are some other areas around the island. And somebody mentioned to me the other day, George, you have it in your own backyard, right on this program. Have you noticed, when you leave here today, if you're driving along Woolwich Road, maybe about not even 100 yards from here.
The Olympic office or something like that used to be right there.
Yeah.
However, that has been subsiding for the last 20 plus years. Nothing has been done.
Yeah, yeah.
So in fact, I see that at least because the average motorist will not seek to drive there, at least some vehicle owners have started parking in the depressed area because it has become a natural parking bay.
Judy Benoit says, things fall apart by Chinua Achebe.
Yeah.
New plot, Grenada. John Franco says, John says, seems they don't know about maintenance, but know how to take their taxes.
Well, we see the biggest example of this with regard to maintenance in respect of the National Stadium. And I have been advised that in the agreement, and who knew there was an agreement, when the People's Republic of China gifted us with this stadium, or perhaps stadia, that included in the agreement was a provision that they would carry out maintenance or refurbishment or renovations from time to time. Well, I believe it's been 12 years now, and it is clear that the maintenance, refurbishment, renovations, whatever, are long overdue.
Yeah.
Because you only have to attend a function at the stadium to see with your own eyes that things do indeed fall apart.
In response to something that Lydia said a little while ago, Margaret says, that's right, Lydia, because outside jobs have been a staple of public servants forever. The minister should look right under her nose in her ministry and leave the teachers alone.
The minister's ministry is the Ministry of Education, or is it the Ministry of the Religious Affairs? She's responsible for both. Huh?
I thought it was both.
Yeah, she's responsible for both. So we are talking about teachers. But I would ask them to look into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I would ask them to look into the Ministry of Finance. I would ask them to look into the Ministry of it's now called the Ministry of Infrastructural Development. Now that is a misnomer if ever there has been a misnomer, because there are no working traffic lights except on the Paradise Bridge. Yeah. The bridge going to the old Pearls Airstrip, apparently we heard from some minister or other that yes, it is in need of urgent repair. A contractor has been identified, but he can't start the work because he's waiting on special order.
Oh, let's not go in the direction we went yesterday morning, boy. Well, anyway, yesterday they got into a discussion about P.
About what?
P. PW?
Yes.
Oh, yeah? back and check it out on the website. Enid says, that's bees on the government part. Things are falling apart. It's very clear.
Is that bees or BS?
Or BS.
Now you got it.
We're going in the direction of yesterday.
Yes.
John Franco says, is there a separation of church and state? Margaret is laughing. She says, don't go there. Don't go there.
Well, the Constitution envisages that there is that separation. However, if it is the view of certain ministers that there is no separation, then we have a difficulty. But you'll have to ask yourself the question, when ministers swear an oath of allegiance, do you think many of them have actually read the provisions in the Constitution? I rather doubt it.
Yeah.
Because they expect that they will be directed in the House by the presiding officer, who respectively are laws unto themselves. Yeah. And since all of them are in cabinet, I think with the exception of 3, maybe now it's 2 since one resigned, but everybody who is in cabinet, they know under whose direction they submit to.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a matter for them and their consciences, if they have any left.
I often wonder. B, I have a couple of things I want to ask you about this morning. The first one is your reaction to Dr. Terry Marr's show. Did you hear that piece that I read?
Yeah, when I came in at the end of it, I myself did not understand the need for the release by the police. I have to admit, when I first saw that release, I didn't see the point. Anybody who has had x-rays taken or any sort of imaging done will know that the facilities are protected by lead aprons, lining, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But in any event, the radiation emitted for the purposes of scans surely can only be emitted when the machines are switched on. Yeah. There must be a power source. Yeah. So it's not as though it is a piece of radioactive equipment.
Right.
So I have to agree that I don't know what was the purpose of this release, except to say that, once again, we are seeing smoke and mirrors. In this instance, a diversion from the 2 significant facts.
Which are?
One is that it is nonsense to tell me that you have to wait for GRENLEC to come and turn off the power. There are breakers on the poles within 200 meters or whatever it is of the various sites. Switching off a breaker cannot be beyond the capacity of the emergency crews to be trained to operate. I mean, I remember 20 plus years ago when there was an announcement, and this was a development, and people were wondering, wait a minute, look, GRENLEC running lines there, they didn't switch off the current because they had had training and were provided with the proper equipment to handle high voltage as well as low voltage cables without having to cut off the power supply and inconvenience everybody. So that's the first aspect, that they sat down there for varying estimates, 40 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, waiting for GRENLEC. I think that is nonsense. So this business about the radiation, in my view, is a diversion. This second diversion has to do with the fact that the acting chief of police, which is what he is according to the Constitution, it doesn't matter what the Minister of National Security calls him as commissioner, that doesn't exist. My thanks to John Rulo for pointing that out, by the way.
Yeah, you can comment, John, yeah.
And distracting us from the reality that the fact that he came on the media and said he has 175 hoses in stock does not change the reality that we all saw, that them hose that they were using is some holy hose. And as I heard last night, a suggestion, when you have a holy hose, it's holy water you're getting out of it.
Judy Benoit says also over 100 hoses in stock.
175. 175, he said. In stock.
And not on the firefighting equipment.
Correct, exactly.
Hey, we're
and as I believe I said either here or somewhere else, with this kind of drip irrigation, they need to give the hoses to the agriculture department and see what they could do. No, so it is once again, it is a distraction from the reality that they have not done what they're supposed to do. You know, there was a time when every Sunday,
go ahead.
This was prior to independence, the fire brigade, actually sometimes two, would go to the market square and wash down the place so that on Monday it did not smell of urine. As I understand, I don't want to go down the road you were yesterday. But they would wash down the place, because the reality is that there are too many of our citizens who will not pay to use public conveniences. They just, anyway, I don't want to go down that road.
Please spare me, spare me. John Franco says, holy hoses. See why the need for separation. Ryan Javon says, nice. Holy hose. Ryan, it's not H-O-L. Yeah, you're right. It's H-O-L-E-Y.
Oh, it could be H-O-L-Y.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, no. To be fair, I will give Ryan that. We'll stick with H-O-L-E-Y to make sure we have a separation of church and state.
Okay. Margaret says, now in another part of the world, both the fire chief and the commissioner of police would be put out of a job for something like that.
Well, they
Grenada.
certainly wouldn't be put out of a job, since they're all acting, and the director is not going anywhere soon.
All right, Mr. Brzezinski, all right. Now, Pele Darbo says, holy hose. H-O-L-Y, H-O-E-S. He says, Allan, don't
go easy.
Don't make that a habit.
Don't go there.
Don't go there. All right. Allan, there's something else I want to ask you about. I'll keep you busy this morning for a few more minutes. Have you heard anything directly from our Prime Minister about this meeting with Pompeo in Jamaica? We know that.
No, I saw an announcement that Grenada would not be attending, but I think that came from the Foreign Ministry.
You did?
Yeah, but I don't know that the Prime Minister had anything to say about it.
Well, that's interesting. Where did you see this?
Where did I see it? Perhaps on another news site, online?
Because they have not put out any, they sent me all the press releases, but I have not received any release about that. I found out about this from Telesur. That's an online publication, I think, in Venezuela or wherever. That's how I found out that Grenada was not going to this thing. Government hasn't said anything.
No, again, they keep very quiet. Because you see, there's an issue of our representation at the CARICOM level, and whether or not the Foreign Ministry and the Foreign Minister operate independently. We don't know.
And by the way, the Foreign Minister is in Geneva right now, I think, attending some review of Grenada's human rights for the United Nations.
Oh, that's interesting, because I recall that earlier this week at a funeral in Guave, the gentleman who currently holds the office of Foreign Minister was referred to twice. And I suppose in the context of human rights in Grenada, that is exceedingly interesting.
Okay, B. The final thing I want to tackle you on this morning. Guyana shipping a million barrels of oil. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but my reaction to that was that the Guyanese really don't know how to celebrate, because I saw 11 minutes of footage of fireworks, and the voiceover was oil, oil, oil. So they celebrated in fine style, but my reaction to that was them didn't know how to waste money yet, because earlier night we had 15 minutes of fireworks here on the Carnage.
That's right.
So joke they making.
Sharon Roberts says, I saw it in the release from Trinidad that Grenada is not attending. Okay. Judy Benoit says that Grenada would not be attending. Didn't get which ministry released it. I'm surprised. They have not sent a beat to me. I wonder how come I got excluded on that one. Anyway.
But in any event, the issue of attendance or non-attendance, I would expect that you have to be invited to attend. You remember on a previous occasion, 3 or 4 of them went to Miami to sit outside a conference room like some little boys waiting to be called into the headmaster's office. I think it was at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
Quite disgraceful.
Yeah.
And now that the Prime Minister of Jamaica is presumably hosting this visit by the U.S. Secretary of State, they clearly had a list of people to invite. And so I don't think it's so much a question of you're not attending. If you weren't invited, you don't go in.
Unless you crash. How do you feel about us not attending that meeting?
I think that's absolutely correct. I have no respect for the U.S. Secretary of State. He is a Trump enabler. He is a professed Christian and is taking part in the lies and cover-up, which is clear for all to see, both in the U.S. House of Representatives and in the U.S. Senate. And these senators have to sit there faced with the evidence of wrongdoing and the subsequent cover-up. And it is more than likely that they will cast their principles aside and vote to acquit the individual who currently holds the office of President of the United States for the time being.
For the time being. You expect to see more?
For the time being. I don't expect anything from the American electorate, the vast majority of whom did not vote for the Republicans. No, I shouldn't say the vast majority. A majority of whom did not vote for the Republicans. But due to the peculiarities of the electoral system, he is in power, and there is a fair chance that because of the machinations of evangelical Christians, a malign force in the world, if ever there was one, he may well be returned for 4 more years.
Okay. Margaret says, Allan, I agree with you. I don't understand why everyone is so worked up over a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State.
Well, these meetings generally take place for the establishment, once again, of a quid pro quo. Align with us for Venezuela, and we'll give you certain benefits. What those benefits may be, I have no idea.
Sharon says, so it's a case of divide and conquer.
That's the history of the world, isn't it?
Yeah. John Franco says, separation is the answer, especially after Trumpism. You called him a buffoon, he's calling him Trumpism. Where you guys draw the line, huh?
No. I claim consistency as well as precedent, because I called him a buffoon from the time you asked me what I thought when he announced his candidacy. Let me try that again. Candidacy. Coming down the golden elevator in Trump Tower.
Yeah, yeah. Enid says, that's until Democrats win the election. Then integrity and morals stand strong with the Republican Party.
I didn't quite follow that.
Neither did I, Enid. Let me read it again. That's until Democrat wins the elections. Then integrity and morals stand strong with the Republican Party. I don't understand it.
Oh, unless it is that when they are in opposition, they have principles. When they are in government, they don't.
Okay.
You could bring that here too, you know.
It's not here yet.
Okay. I guess when you have been in government for so long, you have forgotten what principles are.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Okay, B. Before you go, anything else you want to get off your sleeve, off your chest?
No, man.
What's the T-shirt today? Established 1833.
Yeah,
is that the Scots Kirk?
Scots Kirk, yeah.
Okay.
The fundraising has been going on, and this month, well, we're getting to the end of this month, the plan that I heard at the last fundraising I attended was that some work, rebuilding, was due to commence in January.
Okay. All right. All right, Mr. Wyszynski, thank you very much for your weekly visit. I kind of hurts me to have to get you to pony up and come on down here on a Thursday morning.
Well,
it's nice
I have a scooter.
Yeah. Tell me something, you know something, boy? I think I would look like a real clown. But I wanted to ask you about it. Am I going to do this on the air, actually? Your scooter. You get good mileage from that?
100 miles a gallon.
100 miles a gallon?
Yeah, which is just as well because the tank only holds just over a gallon. And if you ride around Grenada, it's 62 miles.
Oh, right. So you can ride around the country in one tank?
And have plenty over.
Can you climb Granite Hang on that?
Man, if you see speed.
Man, if you see speed. You know, because, Allan, I really need some wheels to get around. I really, really need some wheels. And I've been thinking, well, how do you carry, you know, camera, equipment, iPad or laptop and all that stuff on it?
Miniaturization, because there are 2 luggage compartments on it.
2 luggage compartments?
Yeah, plus you have a backpack you can wear yourself. So miniaturization will do the trick.
And you promised me you won't laugh if you saw me on a scooter.
George, you and I are both at the age where even if people laugh at us, so what?
Ryan says, Amy, I hope you use a helmet on that scooter.
Of course.
Yes, he absolutely does. I have noticed that. Yeah.
You see, tell Ryan that there are certain people who know that much of what they do will be observed and reported on. And therefore, I make sure that I will provide as little reason as possible to those individuals who might, out of the blue, just wake up one morning and decide to come and check my scooter for radiation.
I put out a press release.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we got something started here. First of all, Harry Gibson. You know Harry?
Yeah, man.
Harry says, George, you need to get one.
Mm-hmm. I don't recall seeing Harry on a scooter.
What do you do when it rains?
You park up and wait for the rain to pass.
Yeah, but in my...
Or alternatively, in the rainy season, if the rain is going to be frequent, then you get an appropriate length of covering. A wind thing that you could zip it up.
Yeah, yeah.
A wind, what do they call it? A windbreaker.
Okay. Anthony the Rick says, man, if you see speed, sounds like me. That is why I like we talk. Okay. Margaret.
Yes.
Margaret says, George, on a scooter? I did ask that you guys not, this is no laughing matter, guys. I'm trying to do this for you. I want to get around there and take pictures and so on and then come and show it on the program. So what are you laughing at me for? Yeah, kya. Ryan says, would like to see Gigi balanced on a scooter. Let me give you a little truth. When I was living in Canada, I didn't know how to ride. But I was working with a radio station, and these radio stations put on fundraisers where the announcers and so on would go out to ride for charity, and you know. So one morning I mentioned on the air that, you know, I would really like to take part in this, but truth of the matter is I can't ride. Okay, I must have been about 30 at the time. Couldn't ride. There was a gentleman listening, and he phoned and said to me, he said, George, no problem. I got somebody here who will teach you to ride in a heartbeat. I said, oh yeah, who's that? He says, my daughter. And right away I thought, his daughter. I wonder
how old
his daughter is. He says, I'm not going to tell you how old she is, but she's a model, and she has what kind of hair you call it? It's not black hair. It's oh my gosh,
Auburn.
Okay, and she says she's got really nice eyes. So I said, bring your daughter down.
With a bicycle, I hope.
No, hold on a minute. So this guy decides he's going to bring his daughter down to meet me. Saturday morning, I'm just finished doing my program, go out into the parking lot. There's this man with a 9-year-old child. 9-year-old child and a tricycle. Big tricycle. They loaded me up on this tricycle and put me out on the road. I felt like a klutz. But you know what? I raised $3,000.
There you go.
Damn it, man. Yeah. That's how Georgie Porgy learned to ride, on a tricycle in Oakville, Ontario, Canada. Yeah. John Franco says, Gigi and Allan, trendsetters. Yeah, you know, maybe you and I should go riding around the island. Boy, that would be a sight. That would be a sight. Can you carry 2 people on yours?
Yeah. No. I can carry 1 additional person.
You can carry 1 additional person.
Yeah.
How much, ballpark figure, how much do the things cost?
5,400.
EC?
EC, yeah.
And how long have you had yours?
Me? Forever? No, this is my 3rd one actually.
Oh, 3rd? Okay.
Yeah.
What happened, the mash up easy?
No. After 4 or 5 years, somebody wants to get a good price on a slightly used one, and I generally have low mileage. So it helps me to buy the next one. You trade up. Works.
Okay.
You never saw a program on the old GBN called Where's Godfrey? We used to film ourselves getting lost on scooters going around the island into strangest places. Generally, when we came to the end of the road, we would close with, what do you call it? The camera would close in on me with a quizzical expression, and I would be saying, wait now, where here is?
Where here is? Look, you really got me thinking here now. As I mentioned to you, when I did this ride in Canada, I was about 30 years old. That's 38
a while
years.
back.
Yeah, I'm 68. You're talking 38 years ago. Okay. Do you think I still remember how to ride?
Yeah, they say once you have ridden, you never forget how. If Pele is listening, tell him don't go there.
Pele, don't go there. Don't go there, Pele. Okay. B, you're a retired man, and I know you're busy in your retirement, but one of these days, call me, let's go for a ride somewhere out in the boondocks. Let's go somewhere. I want to try this thing again. Because look, Ryan is, who's it? Ryan is making a point. He says, Gigi, put the camera on your helmet. And I think that would be...
Whatever happened to GoPro?
GoPro is still there.
It's still there?
They're still making, and I'm hoping to get one of those cameras soon. So he says, put your camera, you can put one on the bike as well, you know, get different perspectives. Would you be...
Yeah, we could try it anytime.
We could try?
That'll be a dash cam.
That'll be a dash cam. Boy, let me tell you, we got to bring along somebody, you know, because this is something you guys will have to see. GG back on a bike. Yeah, man. Okay. I think that's going to do it. Mr. Pazurski, thank you very much. I appreciate it. One of these days, the government will come after you and check you for radiation because you have, it's 6 minutes after 10 o'clock. We ain't run the national report yet.
Yeah, well, enjoy.
Allan Bajinski, thank you very much, Mr. B. I appreciate your time as well. Folks, we'll take a break, come back with the national report.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Conveniently located in the Grandin Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grenada will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey, neighbor.
Here's the bill I asked you to pay for me.
How did you get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need. And we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LEDs.
They burn less energy, right?
Much less. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
And Grenlec is always advising us not to open the fridge too often.
That's right. And my family washes and irons in bulk.
With fuel prices changing all the time, how do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
So while Grenada can't control fuel prices, I can conserve energy and save money.
GRENLEC, energizing our Grenada.
Government gives assurances about well-being of Grenadian students in China amidst concerns about coronavirus. Details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back with the details to the news for Wednesday, January 22nd, 2020. I am Sharian Noel. The Morris Bishop International Airport was temporarily closed for a short period Wednesday afternoon after an outgoing flight was forced to return for an emergency landing. The New York-bound JetBlue flight returned to the airport shortly after takeoff because of a failure in one of its engines. The flight landed without incident and passengers were able to safely disembark. The airport has since resumed normal operations. Up to news time, the management team of the airport authority was engaged in a debriefing session. We expect to have more details tomorrow. Moving along, government is giving assurances that all Grenadian students studying in China, particularly those in Wuhan, are currently safe. This assurance comes amidst growing concern about the outbreak of the coronavirus in Wuhan, in which hundreds of persons are known to be already affected. Government assures parents, relatives, friends and well-wishers of students in China that it has been in communication with Grenada's embassy in the People's Republic of China as well as the embassy of the People's Republic of China in Grenada. Government further assures that it will maintain dialogue with both embassies to ensure the continued well-being of the students. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell was among several senior government officials who met with residents of Molyneux on Tuesday evening to update them on efforts to address the rapid land slippage that is presently affecting a section of the Molyneux Public Road and several homes in the immediate area. Dr. Mitchell urged residents to await the conclusion of the geotechnical studies before drawing conclusions on the cause of the land slippage. The Prime Minister, who is also the parliamentary representative for St. George Northwest, said one of the notable effects of the land slippage is that of the impact on businesses in the area.
I know the people who have businesses in the area, they have been affected. The Dragon Bay personnel of the business there, they have lost significant opportunities, and even the shops in the area, right to the area, have lost. It has affected business. It has affected clearly the buses in the area, because busmen are complaining that they are spending a lot more money now on gas and tires and so on, because the by roads clearly are not as firm as the road that we normally use in passing to and fro. So it has inconvenienced a lot of people.
Dr. Mitchell said government has identified lands that can possibly be used for the relocation of affected residents.
For the residents who are directly affected, some of them have already approached and looking for possible lands for alternative for building. I just want to say to you, we have government lands in Jones Road up that side, and we have the Ministry of Agriculture has been mandated to survey the lands in that area so that we can make some lands available for the residents who wish to relocate permanently in that side, not necessarily wait for the solution in this area. So that is a solution we're looking at.
Residents raised the question of compensation, and Dr. Mitchell said it is too early to say what sort of financial assistance government will be able to give, as the first step is securing funding for the massive project that will have to be undertaken at Molyneux. Minister for Infrastructure, Honorable Gregory Boeing, in addressing residents, revealed that there are 142 land slippage across the country that needs attention. However, the rapid movement of the slippage in Molyneux is top priority for his government.
We have looked towards the rehabilitation of the bypass roads, as well as in parallel working towards a permanent solution for this road. This one will entail the geotechnical studies. Yes, and this could take quite a while and has to be very detailed, because the problem does not exist along this main road alone. The problem exists from the coastline way up to the top. As a matter of fact, we have been getting reports of some people's homes above that has been affected. So it is a massive project.
A new secondary road, he says, will have to be considered. A team from Physical Planning, Minister Bowen says, looked at a plan for identifying the best solutions to the bypass roads, while studies continue to rectify the slippage area.
We are looking, like I tell you, how we will do the roads up there. We might have to cut a new road, and we want to do everything within 3 months, because you see the time frame that this will take to do the geotechnical study. And if we have to build a new road, we have to talk to people in the neighborhood and call in, and it's the Prime Minister's constituency. Most of the work will be his, but we're asking you for land. We're saying, please, give us a little bit of land here and there. We know we have to work with you. We wouldn't try to pass the land directly to the middle of your property, but give us a little bit, because we want to cut a bit of road so you can pass speedily on the side and maybe just come up closer to the end of the Mount Morris Road. Yes, and that is one. We have other roads to look in mind, that you go through Granville and you come out in Constantine. You see the slips along that area again. We want to repair that, but even before we repair those, we want to make this, very usable for people. Yes, user friendly, so that they're not frightened.
Other officials attending Tuesday's meeting, including Chief Technical Officer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Naja Andal, along with General Manager of NAWASA, Christopher Husbands, and Mr. Trevor Thompson of the Land Use Division. Geriatric caregiver and other health workers were subject to much-needed training on the topic of dementia over the past 2 days. The training, organized by the Ministry of Social Development, was aimed at educating care workers to enable them to better serve persons affected by dementia. Public Relations Officer in the Ministry of Social Development, Delroy Luizon, has the details.
Over the past 2 days, nurses, caregivers, supervisors, matrons, and other persons providing care to dementia-affected individuals received rigorous training on dementia care. Dementia is a broad category of brain diseases that cause a long-term and often gradual decrease in the ability to think and remember, affecting daily functioning. The training took the form of a 2-day workshop organized by the Aging Unit within the Ministry of Social Development, Housing and Community Empowerment. Supervisor for Geriatric Services at the unit, Lydia Thomas, speaks to the significance of such training.
Dementia is a growing issue in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. It is not new to us. However, we lack a lot of training. We have seen that we lack a lot of training. And if we are looking to give our older persons quality care, this is one of the things, the areas that we must address.
2 of the participants tells us how the knowledge gained will be used in their fields.
Taking back the information would be a very good thing, and I hope to take it back as soon as Thursday, get a meeting and let them know the difficulties we can face in dementia and help in some way to work with it.
It has to be passed on, and we'll definitely have to relay that information to our other staff, and even help those who may have been maybe issues dealing with dementia.
Facilitator and dementia care specialist Gloria Phillips Smith says dementia is a topic which needs to be discussed.
We need to bring awareness of what dementia is, how it affects people, and what support networks we need to put in place for people affected by dementia.
The training workshop concluded on Wednesday and was held at the National Stadium. For the National Report, I'm Delroy Luizon.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
8 p.m. sharp. 8 p.m. sharp. Saturday, January 25th at the Sutters Bus Terminal. It's the final of the National Celebrations Committee Independence Calypso Monarch Competition 2020. 11 artists have been selected to challenge the reigning monarch, Sean Nas, the Sour Support. Admission free. Come out in your numbers and witness for yourself. Will Sour Support hold on to his reign, or will Rootsman Kelly, Teacher Eddie, Hawks, Stunner, Zena, Gun, Katura, The Reporter, Denson, Professor Shaggy, or Royalty rise to the occasion? Only time will tell. Remember the date, Saturday, January 25th, 8 p.m. Sutters Bus Terminal. It's the final of the Independence Calypso Competition.
Welcome back. Given the importance of animal disease control to safeguard global food safety and animal health, and the implementation of international standards for better agricultural practices, the Vet and Livestock Department of the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands will hold a series of animal health outreach clinics throughout the Tri-Island state in 2020. We get more in this report from Mina Buka.
Healthy animals are closely related to healthy people and a healthy environment. Monitoring animal health and preventing animal disease outbreaks is vital to the economy and safety of the country. In recognition of this, the Veterinary and Livestock Department of the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands will focus on best practices in prevention and control of priority diseases and animal health through a series of animal health outreach clinics in 2020. Acting Chief Veterinary and Livestock Officer Dr. Kimond Cummings underscores the importance of this drive.
The aim of these outreach clinics is really to provide good quality veterinary services to the farmers over there who more or less may not be able to really afford the services. And secondly, we want to ensure that we strengthen the relationship that the ministry has with the farming community.
The drive, which will be undertaken island-wide, kicked off with the first animal health outreach clinic at the Woburn Playing Field on Tuesday, 21st January. The Vet and Livestock Department was supported by the officers of the Southern Agricultural District throughout the day, as they offered services such as rabies injections, deworming medication, wound management, hoof trimming, pest management tips, and others. Mrs. Yolande Lord Telesford, livestock specialist attached to the Southern Agricultural District, spoke of the importance of hosting the clinic in the Woburn area.
What we realize is that in this area we have a lot of people in the community doing tethering, tying the animals. Some have 1 or 2 animals, and there are a lot together, and what you can't find is contamination. We went out and for a door-to-door campaign. We talked to the different people, find out what was their problems with the animal and thing, and therefore we saw it fitting to start with the clinic in this area. Yeah, because of the volume of the quantity of animals that you find here.
The team also ventured into the surrounding areas to treat and offer support to farmers with more than 5 animals. Farmer Eunice Nelson was able to get all 43 of her livestock treated during the drive on Tuesday.
Well, it benefits me greatly in the sense that right now I don't have to buy a lot of medicine. I don't have to think of rabies that much because as the dry season, from time to time you will see mongoose running in and out. So you don't always have to think about the rabies. So it's a great benefit.
Dr. Cummings says that the series of clinics gives the department an opportunity to explain the diseases and issues affecting livestock and other animals to farmers and animal owners.
It gives you the opportunity to establish what's really on the ground in terms of diseases, and then you're now left with the task of figuring how would you prevent an outbreak. Not just prevent an outbreak, but how would you deal with this particular situation? So prevention and eradication. As we put on the, more and more clinics, we're hoping to expand those numbers. So 200-300 farmers every clinic that we go into. The ministry is investing heavily in those programs because we understand the need, of those farmers, ensuring that they have the technical assistance, bringing the services to them, right? And we understand that not every farmer has the privilege of employing or having the opportunity to call a private practitioner or a private clinician. So it's of critical importance for us to actually bring the service to those farmers. So as we move into doing more and more of those clinics, we're hoping that the outcome in terms of the farmers' numbers would increase. So
During the clinic, animals will be given preventative vaccines, treated for internal and external parasites, and in addition, these clinics will provide opportunities to educate and offer advice to owners and farmers of at-home and on-the-farm care, nutrition and behavior. Reporting for the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Mina Booker.
And with this, we come to the end of the National Report for Wednesday, January 22nd, 2020. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Sharian Noel, thanking you for viewing.
Inspection and licensing have begun, and at Hubbard's, we want you to be ready. From January to February 15th, we're offering vehicle owners with single registration letters 1 to 2,500 and plural registration letters 1 to 250, 10% off our new torque tires and Power Max batteries. Don't get caught unprepared. Visit us today at our motor department in Mungay or our tire bay in Grandance, located near Hubbard's Building Supplies.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank. And there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Alrighty, folks, I'm going to leave you with a little advice this morning. It comes to you from the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah chapter 9, verses 4, 5, and 6. Beware of your friends. Do not trust anyone in your clan. For every one of them is a deceiver, and every friend a slanderer. Friend deceives friend, and no one speaks the truth. They have taught their tongues to lie. They weary themselves with sinning. You live in the midst of deception. In their deceit, they refuse to acknowledge me, declares the Lord. Jeremiah chapter 9, verses 4 to 6. A couple of quick comments here. Margaret says, it'd be really sad if the roads along the coast are lost because that was part of the beauty of driving around Grenada, the sea view. She's referring to stuff that showed up in the National Report this morning. And Joy C. Smith says, healthy animals. How about healthy people? Nice one, Joyce. Okay, my dear friends, on that note, Georgie Porchy's going to hightail it out of here. Thank you very much for joining me for today's edition of, what do you call it, Gudday Grenada? Yeah? We had a lot of fun yesterday and today. 2 great days. Let's see what tomorrow holds by God's grace. Thank you very much. So long.